In a shining alien city, towers of crystal and silver touched the clouds. Wealth and power flowed through every street, and among all the rich families, none was more respected than the millionaire mother. She had everything: ships that crossed galaxies, palaces made of starlight and influence across dozens of worlds. Yet behind her shining smile she carried a pain deeper than any ocean. Her daughter, her only child, was paralyzed. From the moment the little girl was born, she could not walk, she could not stand, and sometimes even speaking was difficult. Alien doctors from the best worlds had tried everything. Machines hummed, healers whispered, scientists promised, but at the end of every attempt came the same bitter words: there is no cure. The mother, despite her billions, was helpless. Every night she sat beside her daughter's bed, holding the child's tiny hand. She whispered stories about stars, about new planets, about treasures waiting in the galaxy. But inside, her heart broke. What good was wealth if it could not give her daughter legs to walk, arms to dance, or a chance to run beneath the suns? Rumors spread in the city. Some aliens whispered that fate itself had cursed the girl. Others said her condition was proof that even the richest could not escape weakness. Every whisper cut like a knife, and the mother grew colder with each passing day. She bought more riches, more lands, more ships, but no treasure could silence her pain. One day, when the skies of the city glowed red with twin suns, a stranger arrived. He was not like the others. He was human, unlike the tall, glittering aliens. This human looked simple, even weak. He wore no gems, no armor, no cloak of power. Just plain clothes and steady eyes. The guards laughed when he asked to see the millionaire mother. "What could a human do that our science cannot?" they mocked. But the human's voice did not shake. "Tell her," he said, "that I can help her daughter." The word spread quickly, carried by servants and guards until they reached the mother herself. She almost dismissed it. After all, she had heard it 1,000 times before. Every healer, every doctor, every scientist had said the same. But something about the message made her pause. Perhaps it was not the promise, but the courage behind it. She agreed to meet him. The human was brought into her grand hall. Crystals glowed from the ceiling, the floor shone like liquid silver, and alien servants stood at attention. The mother sat high on a throne of gold, her daughter in a chair beside her, fragile and still. The human bowed, not to the mother, but to the child. "I have come for her," he said softly. The mother's eyes narrowed. "Do you know how many before you have failed? Do you know how many times I have heard these same words?" The human nodded. "I know," he replied. "But I am not them. I am human." The room grew silent. Some servants scoffed, others whispered, "What arrogance! How could a human succeed where alien science had failed for years?" Yet, the human's calm voice carried weight. The daughter looked at him with wide, tired eyes. She had heard many promises, but this one felt different. Perhaps it was the way he spoke directly to her, as if she mattered more than all the riches around them. The mother felt a flicker of something she had not felt in years: hope. But she crushed it quickly. Hope was dangerous. Hope was a poison that hurt more than any failure. "You may try," she said finally, her voice heavy. "But know this, if you lie, if you play games with me, you will not leave this hall alive." The human did not flinch. Instead, he stepped closer to the daughter, kneeling beside her. He placed a hand gently on her arm. His touch was not like the cold machines of doctors nor the sharp tools of scientists. It was warm, steady, alive. "You will stand," he whispered. His words meant only for her. "Not today, not tonight, but soon. Believe me." The mother's heart trembled. For the first time in many years, her daughter smiled. The hall filled with tension. Servants leaned closer. Guards gripped their weapons. The mother herself could not breathe. Could it be true? Could this ordinary human do the impossible? The human stood tall and looked directly into the mother's eyes. Tomorrow, he said with quiet certainty, your daughter will rise. Gasps filled the hall. The mother's hand shook against her throne. For a moment she wanted to believe. For a moment she saw her daughter running, laughing, free. But belief was dangerous. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "If this is a lie, it will break me." And yet, she could not deny the fire that had just been lit inside her heart. The stage was set. The impossible had been promised, and tomorrow would change everything. The night passed slowly inside the great palace of crystal. The alien millionaire mother could not sleep. The human's words echoed again and again in her mind. Tomorrow your daughter will rise. She had heard many promises before, but none spoken with such quiet confidence. Most healers came boasting of their machines, flashing strange lights and carrying sharp instruments. They spoke with pride and arrogance, promising instant cures. This human was different. He carried no tools, no glowing devices, and yet his words felt heavier than steel. The mother sat by her daughter's bedside. The girl lay still, her eyes half closed, breathing soft and slow. The mother brushed the child's hair back and whispered, "Don't believe him too much, my star. I don't want your heart broken again." But the girl smiled faintly. "Mother," she whispered. His eyes. They did not lie. That small sentence shook the mother more than all the human's words. For years her daughter had lived in silence, tired of false promises. Yet this time, she felt something different. The next morning, the palace filled with whispers. Servants spoke nervously about the human. Guards joked, but their eyes betrayed unease. Could a human truly do what alien science had failed to do? When the suns rose high, the human returned. His steps were calm, his face steady, as if he carried no doubt. The mother sat straight on her throne, trying to hide the storm inside her heart. "You said today," she spoke coldly, "she will rise." The human nodded. "Yes, but you must allow me to work in silence without interruption." The mother agreed, though her eyes warned him, if he failed, there would be no mercy. The human entered the daughter's chamber. The girl sat in her chair, thin and fragile, yet her eyes bright with hope. The mother followed, standing near the door with guards at her side. He knelt before the girl again, just as he had done before. "Do you trust me?" he asked softly. The girl nodded. "Good. Then today we begin." The human did not use glowing crystals, no alien energy fields, no strange machines. Instead, he placed his hands gently on the girl's legs. His fingers pressed, moved, and shifted in patterns strange to alien eyes. He whispered words, not spells, but encouragement. "Feel this," he said. "Not with fear, with courage." The mother frowned. What was he doing? To her eyes, it looked meaningless. Simple touches, soft pushes, nothing that resembled advanced healing. Her heart ached with anger. Was this another fraud? But then she saw it. Her daughter's face changed. At first, only a flicker, then a widening of eyes. "Mother," the girl gasped, "I feel something." The mother froze. Servants leaned forward, stunned. For years, no machine, no medicine had given the girl any sensation in her legs. Now, with the human's strange hands, something stirred. The human continued, patient and calm. He did not promise sudden miracles. Instead, he guided her. "Do not rush, do not fear. Just listen to your body. It is speaking again." The girl tried to move her toes. They trembled but did not lift. Her breath grew heavy, tears forming in her eyes. The mother stepped forward quickly. "Stop this," she shouted. "You are hurting her hope." But the human raised his hand gently without looking back. "Trust the process," he said firmly. "She is not breaking. She is awakening." The mother's voice caught in her throat. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not even the greatest alien kings. And yet, in that moment, she felt powerless. The wow. Girl tried again. Her face twisted in effort, sweat forming on her forehead. For a moment, nothing happened. The hall filled with silence so heavy it crushed every chest, and then her toe twitched. It was small. It was almost invisible. But it was real. The mother gasped. Servants cried out in disbelief. Guards stared with wide eyes. The human only smiled faintly. There, did you see it? Tears poured down the girl's face. I moved. The mother's knees weakened. She almost fell but grabbed the edge of the chair. Her voice trembled. This cannot be. No alien doctor ever. The human's voice cut through her shock. Because they looked at her as a patient, I see her as a fighter, and fighters rise. The mother's heart was torn between fear and wonder. Was this just a trick of the eyes? Could one small twitch lead to standing? Or was this only another cruel game of fate? The human placed his hand gently on the girl's shoulder. Not today, he said softly, but soon. Tomorrow you will do more. And each tomorrow after that even more. Until you stand. The girl smiled through her tears. The mother's chest burned with emotion she could not name. The palace buzzed with whispers again. Some called it impossible. Others called it human magic. But deep inside, the mother felt something dangerous returning. Hope. And hope, she knew, was the most powerful weapon in the universe. The suns rose again over the alien city, painting the sky in gold and red. Inside the great palace, whispers had not stopped since yesterday. The human's touch had done the unthinkable. A single toe had moved. It was small, almost nothing, yet it had shaken the belief of an entire household. The alien millionaire mother had not slept all night. She walked the halls in silence, her mind burning with questions. Could one twitch really mean hope? Or was it just chance, a meaningless spasm? She feared believing too much, yet her heart betrayed her with every beat. When morning light reached her daughter's chamber, the human was already there. He had not asked for rest, food, or even payment. He only asked for time. The girl sat in her chair, nervous but eager. She looked stronger than before, though her body had not changed. It was her eyes. There was fire in them now, a fire that had been missing all her life. The human knelt again. His calm presence filled the room. "Are you ready?" he asked. The girl nodded. The mother stood close, arms crossed, trying to appear cold. But inside, every part of her wanted to scream, "Yes, make her whole again." The human began his strange work once more. His hands pressed, moved, and guided the girl's legs. No glowing machines, no alien power, only his steady touch and quiet voice. "Listen," he whispered. "Your body remembers. It only forgot how to move. Let us remind it together." The girl closed her eyes, breathing deeply. She tried again. First her toes, then her ankles. At first, nothing. Silence filled the room. The mother's heart sank, and then the toes curled. Gasps broke out among the servants. The girl opened her eyes wide, shocked. "I did it again," she cried. The mother's chest tightened. Tears stung her eyes, but she forced them back. She could not appear weak. "Not now." "Good," the human said gently. "Now try more." The girl focused. Slowly, painfully, her foot shifted. Just a little. Only an inch, but it was movement. Real, undeniable movement. The mother's lips trembled. Her daughter had never done that in all her years of life. The human placed both hands on the girl's knees. His voice was low but steady. "Now feel the strength that has always been inside you. Do not think of what you cannot do. Think only of one small step." The girl gritted her teeth. Her legs shook faintly. A groan of effort escaped her lips. Sweat ran down her face, and then one knee bent. The room froze. Guards dropped their spears in shock. Servants fell silent, their mouths open. The girl cried out, half in pain, half in joy. "I moved it! Mother, I moved it. The mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her knees nearly gave out, but she held herself. Her heart thundered in her chest. The human nodded, not surprised. His voice was calm, almost as if he had seen this many times before. Yes, that is the beginning. The girl collapsed back, exhausted, but smiling wider than ever before. Her face glowed with hope. The mother could no longer hold back. She rushed forward, dropping to her knees beside her child. Tears poured freely now, no longer hidden. She clutched her daughter's hand. My star, my shining star. You moved. The girl's small hand squeezed hers weakly. Mother, I will walk, I know it now. The human rose slowly, looking at them both. This is only the first step. Tomorrow she will do more. But remember, this is not just body, it is spirit. She must believe, and so must you. The mother looked up at him, her tears shining. How is this possible? Alien science failed. Machines failed. Even our greatest minds failed. Yet you... Her voice broke. You use nothing but your hands. Why does it work? The human's eyes held a quiet fire. Because humans do not give up when science says impossible. We fight with more than logic, we fight with spirit. That is why. The mother stared at him, her heart torn. Was it true? Could simple spirit be stronger than the greatest? Alien technology? She looked back at her daughter, who still smiled despite her exhaustion. For the first time in many years, the girl looked alive, truly alive. The mother's heart whispered something dangerous. Maybe this human speaks the truth. The palace shook with new whispers. Some called the human a fraud. Others whispered the word miracle. The guards looked uneasy, as if the very order of the universe had been broken. But the mother no longer cared what they thought. All she cared about was the small miracle she had just witnessed. Her daughter had moved. And for the first time in her life, the mother believed that tomorrow could bring even more. The third sunrise came, glowing through the towers of the alien city. By now, the palace was no longer quiet. Rumors had spread like fire across every hall, every chamber, and even the streets outside. The alien millionaire mother's daughter had moved her legs. A twitch, a bend, a miracle. Crowds gathered at the palace gates, whispering. Some came to mock, others came to see. Could a simple human really do what the most advanced alien science had failed to do? The words human miracle slipped into the air like forbidden music. Inside the palace, the mother stood by the window, her hands trembling. She had not known fear like this in years. Not fear of failure. She was used to that. This was different. This was the fear of hope becoming real. If her daughter truly stood, the universe itself would change for her. The human entered quietly, carrying nothing but his steady presence. The girl was already waiting in her chair, her eyes glowing with determination. She had not slept well, but her spirit had never burned brighter. Today, the human said, kneeling before her once again, you will rise. The words struck the mother's heart like thunder. She wanted to believe, but she could not. She would not until she saw it with her own eyes. The servants filled the room. The guards leaned forward, pretending not to care, but secretly desperate to witness what might happen. The air was heavy, thick with tension. The human placed his hands on the girl's shoulders. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Do not think of fear. Do not think of failure. Think only of strength. You have always had it. Now is the time to use it. The girl nodded, her small hands gripping the chair. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Now, the human whispered. The girl pushed. Her legs trembled, her knees bent. The chair creaked beneath her weight. For a moment, it seemed nothing would happen. The mother's chest tightened painfully. She almost shouted for him to stop. But then, slowly, unsteadily, the girl rose. First one leg straightened, then the other. Her body shook, her arms wavered, Her breath came in sharp gasps, but she was rising, she was standing. The room exploded with gasps and cries. Servants dropped to their knees. Guards stared, wide-eyed. Some whispered prayers to gods they had long forgotten. The mother froze in place, her vision blurred with tears. Her lips trembled as her heart screamed, "It's real! It's real!" Her daughter's legs wobbled, weak but holding. She stood like a newborn fawn, unsteady but alive. She looked around the room, her eyes wide with wonder. "Mother," she whispered, her voice breaking. I am standing." The mother rushed forward, her knees crashing to the floor. She clutched her daughter's trembling hands, afraid to breathe too hard, as if the moment might shatter. "Yes," she sobbed. "Yes, my star. You are standing." The girl's tears fell freely, but she did not collapse. Her small frame shook, but she held her weight. The human's voice cut through the storm of emotion. "Do not let her sit yet. She must learn to balance. Let her legs remember." The mother looked up at him through her tears. How? How do you do this? What power is this?" The human shook his head. "No power, only will. Her body is not broken. It was waiting for her spirit to command it again." The mother's heart twisted. Could it be so simple? Could years of alien medicine have blinded them to something humans had always known? The girl took a small step, one shaky, half-falling step. The room fell silent again. Every eye followed her. Her foot touched the ground. Then another step. She stumbled, nearly collapsing, but the human caught her gently. He steadied her, then let go. "No," he said firmly, "she must walk on her own." The girl gritted her teeth, sweat dripping down her forehead. Her legs shook violently, but she forced them forward. One step, another. The floor echoed with the sound of her small feet. The mother's body trembled. She wanted to hold her, to carry her, to protect her. But she could not rob her daughter of this moment, and then it happened. The girl walked 3 steps on her own before falling into her mother's arms. The palace erupted in shouts, gasps, and cries of wonder. Servants wept openly. Guards clashed their spears in salute. The whispers grew louder. A human miracle. A human gift. The mother held her daughter close, sobbing. You walked, my star. You walked." The girl smiled through tears. "I told you, mother, I will walk again. I believe it now." The human stood back, silent. He did not claim victory. He did not boast. He simply watched, his face calm, but his eyes glowing with quiet pride. The mother looked at him with, "Oh," her voice shook. "You have given her life. You have given me back my soul. Tell me, what do you want? Name your price and I will pay it." The human shook his head. "I want nothing. Remember only this. Humans are not weak. Where others see limits, we see beginnings. That is the difference." The mother lowered her gaze, overwhelmed. For the first time in her life, she felt truly small, not because she was powerless, but because she had witnessed something greater than wealth, greater than science. Her daughter had stood, her daughter had walked, and the universe would never be the same. The palace had never felt so alive. For years, silence had ruled its halls, broken only by the hum of alien machines and the whispers of hopeless doctors. But now the walls echoed with gasps, cries, and disbelief. The daughter of the alien millionaire mother had walked. Not with machines, not with support, not in dreams, but in reality. She had taken steps with her own trembling legs. The news spread faster than fire through the city. By the time the twin suns touched the horizon, crowds had gathered outside the gates. Alien voices rose in confusion, in fear, in awe. They wanted to see the human, to see the girl, to see proof that the impossible had become real. Inside, the mother clung to her daughter. Her tears fell like endless rain, soaking the child's shoulder. "You walked," she whispered again and again, as if afraid the words might vanish if she stopped speaking them. You walked, my shining star. The girl smiled through her own tears, her face glowing with joy. Yes, mother, I walked, men, I will walk again. The human stood quietly a few steps away. He had not spoken since the miracle. His eyes were calm, his face steady, but deep within, there was a quiet fire, one only humans carried. Alien doctors rushed into the chamber, their tools glowing. They scanned, measured, and analyzed, their voices sharp and panicked. Impossible, one cried. No nerves repaired, no implants, no surgery. Nothing explains this. Another shouted. Her muscles are too weak. This should not be happening. But it was happening. Before their eyes, the girl's body, once broken and still, was moving again. The mother turned to the human, her voice shaking. They do not understand. None of them can explain this. Tell me, what did you do? The human looked at her daughter, not at the machines, not at the doctors. His voice was simple, almost soft. I reminded her that she was never broken. Her body listened because her spirit commanded. That is the human way. The mother stared at him, her heart trembling. Could it be true? Could belief, persistence, and spirit be stronger than all the alien science in the galaxy? The daughter tried again. Her legs shook as she rose from the chair. She leaned forward, balancing herself. The crowd of servants held their breath. The doctors froze in disbelief. Step, another step, and another. This time she did not fall. Her legs moved, weak but alive. She took 5, 6, 7 steps before pausing. Then she stood tall, her back straight, her eyes bright. The mother fell to her knees, overwhelmed. She pressed her forehead against the cold floor. She was one of the richest women in the galaxy, yet at that moment she felt poorer than anyone. Alive. For no amount of wealth had ever bought her this gift. Her daughter walked toward her, each step a miracle. The girl reached her, leaned down, and whispered, "Mother, I am free." The mother cried openly, not caring who watched. She clutched her daughter tightly, as if holding her would stop time itself. The doctors argued among themselves. "It must be an unknown human technique," one said. "No, it is illusion," shouted another. But their voices carried no weight anymore. The truth was before their eyes, undeniable. The human finally spoke again, his voice steady. "You search for science where there is none. Sometimes healing is not about machines or chemicals. Sometimes it is about the will to rise when the universe says, 'Stay down.'" The mother looked up at him, her face wet with tears. "I cannot repay. You have given me more than all my riches could ever buy. Tell me, what do you desire? Ships? Jewels? A kingdom?" But the human shook his head. "I want nothing. Keep your treasures. Remember only this. Humans are not weak. Where others give, up we endure. Where others surrender, we rise. That is our gift." The mother's breath caught. For the first time in her life, she understood what true power meant. Not wealth, not ships, not empires, but spirit, the fire that no one could buy or build. Her daughter stood beside her, no longer a helpless child, but a living miracle. The servants bowed low, their voices trembling as they whispered, "Human miracle, human strength." Outside the palace, the crowd roared with wonder as news spread further. Aliens who had always looked down on humans now spoke their name with awe. The mother rose slowly, holding her daughter's hand. Her voice carried through the hall. "Today, I have seen what no science could give me. Today I have seen a miracle. And it came not from machines, not from wealth, but from a human." The hall fell silent, her words echoing like thunder. The human bowed once, his task complete. Then he turned toward the door. The mother's voice called after him, breaking with emotion. "Wait, will we see you again?" The human paused but did not turn. "Perhaps, or perhaps not. But you will never forget what humans can do." And then he walked away, leaving behind a palace forever changed. The mother held her daughter close, her heart still racing. She whispered softly, "For the first time I feel rich, not because of treasure, but because I have seen the impossible." Her daughter smiled. She was standing, walking, alive, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The palace was no longer the same place it had been only days ago. Where silence and sorrow once ruled, now every hall was alive with whispers of, the alien millionaire mother's daughter, once paralyzed, once hopeless, now stood tall, her legs trembling but strong. She had walked, and in walking she had changed the fate of her family forever. Outside the crystal walls, crowds filled the streets. Aliens of every kind pressed against the gates, trying to see the child, trying to see the human who had done the impossible. No amount of guards could silence their voices. The words spread like fire. A human miracle. Inside, the mother held her daughter close. She had spent her life gathering treasure, ships, and lands. But now all those riches seemed weightless compared to the warmth of her child's arms. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive. Her daughter looked up at her with shining eyes. "Mother," she whispered, "I told you. I am free now. I can walk." Tears filled the mother's eyes again, though she tried to hide them. She kissed her daughter's forehead and held her tighter. The human stood a short distance away. His face was calm, not proud, not boastful. He watched them silently, as though this moment was not his victory, but theirs. The mother finally turned, to him, her voice breaking. "You have given me back my soul. You have given her life. How can I let you leave with nothing? Please name your price. Anything. My wealth, my ships, my power, it is all yours." The human shook his head slowly. "I do not want your treasures. I came not for wealth, but to remind you and perhaps your world that humans are not weak. We rise where others fall. We endure where others give up. That is all I ask you to remember." The mother's breath caught. She had commanded empires, yet no king or lord had ever spoken to her with such quiet power. Her daughter took a step forward on her own, her legs shaking but determined. The hall gasped again. The girl smiled bravely and said, "Mother, he is right. I walked because he believed in me, and because I believed in myself." The mother's tears returned, but this time they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of pride. She looked at the human, her voice trembling. "If you ever need me, or my house, or my ships, you will have them. From this day, you are family." The human bowed, but his eyes held that same mysterious fire. "Perhaps one day I will return, or perhaps you will never see me again, but you will never forget what you saw here." He turned to leave. The great doors opened, and beyond them, the voices of thousands echoed like thunder. The mother called after him one last time. "What should I tell the world when they ask how this miracle happened?" The human paused. For a long moment, the hall was silent. Then his voice rang out clear and steady. "Tell them this. Humans fight with more than hands. We fight with spirit, and spirit can do what machines never will." And with that, he stepped into the light and was gone. The palace fell silent for a heartbeat, then filled with the sound of joy. Servants cheered. Guards struck their spears against the ground in salute. The mother lifted her daughter high as though presenting her to the universe. Her voice carried through the chamber, strong and proud. "Today I learned that wealth is nothing without hope. Today I saw that the greatest power in this galaxy is not money, not science, not empire, but the human spirit." The words spread beyond the palace walls, carried by the crowd, repeated by every voice until they reached the skies. The human spirit, the human miracle. The daughter stood proudly beside her mother, taking small, careful steps. Every step echoed like thunder in the hearts of those who watched. Every step was proof that the impossible could be done. That night, as the stars glittered over the alien city, the mother sat beside her daughter's bed once more. But this time there were no tears of sorrow. She brushed her child's hair back and whispered, "Sleep well, my star. Tomorrow you will walk again, and the whole universe will know your strength." The girl smiled, drifting into dreams, her legs warm and alive beneath the blankets. The mother looked out the window toward the endless stars. Somewhere out there, the human had gone. She did not know where. She did not know if she would ever see him again. But she knew this. She would never forget him. For he had given her more than a miracle. He had given her something greater than all her treasures. He had given her hope. And in that hope, she felt richer than she had ever been. The galaxy would whisper about ships and wars and empires. But in one palace, in one mother's heart, a different story would be told. A story of a human who came with nothing and left behind everything. The city did not sleep that night. Lanterns burned across every street, and voices rose like a great tide. The story of the human had spread beyond the palace, beyond the gates, beyond even the skies. On distant planets, traders carried whispers. A human healed what alien science could not. Some called it a myth. Others called it a revolution. Inside the palace, the alien millionaire, mother watched her daughter sleep peacefully. Her child's legs twitched faintly beneath the blankets, movements so small yet so powerful, for they meant life had returned. The mother brushed her hand gently across her daughter's hair, her heart overflowing with a joy she had never known. Yet even as joy filled her chest, a shadow of fear crept into her thoughts. The human was gone. He had walked into the night and disappeared. No ship, no escort, no trail. It was as if he had been a ghost passing through her world, and now others wanted him. By morning, the palace gates were surrounded not by curious crowds, but by envoys from other worlds. Ambassadors, merchants, even kings, all demanding to know where the human had gone. They wanted his secret. They wanted his power. "Bring us the human," they shouted. "If he can heal her, he can heal us all. Name the price and we will pay it." The mother stood at the balcony, her daughter's hand in hers. She raised her voice, steady but sharp. "The human is gone. He asked for nothing, and nothing you give can replace what he gave us." But the envoys were not satisfied. Some whispered of kidnapping, others of war. For in the galaxy, miracles were treasures, and treasures were always hunted. The mother's heart raced. Her daughter had just begun to walk, to live again. Yet already the galaxy's hunger threatened to take away her peace. She knew she could not stay silent. That night, she gathered her closest advisors, guards, and servants. The great hall glowed with silver light as she spoke. "The human did not only heal my daughter. He showed me something greater than wealth. He showed me the power of spirit. This is not something we can sell or control. It belongs to no one, but already the galaxy seeks to chain it." Her words echoed across the hall. Many bowed their heads in respect. Some, however, were afraid. One advisor whispered, "Mistress, if we do not control this secret, others will. If they capture the human, they will use him as a weapon." The mother's jaw tightened. She knew this was true. The human had awakened something far more dangerous than her daughter's legs. He had awakened curiosity, envy, and fear across the stars. Meanwhile, her daughter practiced each day. Each step grew steadier, stronger. Where once there was silence, now laughter filled the halls. She no longer needed servants to carry her. She walked with her own will. She spoke often of the human, her voice glowing with gratitude. "Mother," she said one evening, after walking the length of the chamber, "he gave me more than my legs. He gave me courage. I feel as if I can face the whole galaxy now." The mother smiled, though her heart ached. "Yes, my star, but courage draws attention, and the galaxy is not always kind." For beyond the palace, dark forces had already begun to move. Spies whispered of the human's name. Ships prepared to search for him. Some came seeking healing. Others came seeking power. And some came seeking to destroy what they did not understand. One night, as the daughter slept, the mother stood alone on her balcony, gazing at the endless stars. She whispered into the wind, "Where are you now, human? Do you know what storm you have started?" Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with a strange mix of awe and dread. She knew this was only the beginning. Her daughter's healing was not the end of the story. It was the spark of something larger, something that would spread beyond her palace, beyond her city, beyond her world. Because if one human could perform such a miracle, then what else could humans do? The galaxy had begun to ask that question, and soon it would demand an answer. The mother placed her hand on her heart. She did not know where the human had gone, or if she would ever see him again. But she knew one truth burned brighter than any star. The age of miracles had just begun, and at its center stood humanity.